6 hours of chaos. How South Korea's democracy defied Yoon's martial law. Opening. A midnight shock. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's special broadcast. Imagine this. It's just past 10:30 p.m. on December 3, 2024. You're at home in Seoul, perhaps sipping tea or scrolling through your phone, when the television screen flickers on. There stands President Yoon Suk-yeol, his face illuminated under harsh studio lights, his expression a mix of resolve and unease. In a low, deliberate tone, he announces, "As of this moment, I am declaring martial law to protect the nation from an imminent threat." The words hit like a thunderclap. Within minutes, the quiet streets outside your window transform. The rhythmic thud of soldiers' boots echoes through the night, accompanied by the menacing rumble of tanks rolling into position. This isn't a movie, it's real. For 6 tense hours, South Korea, a beacon of democracy in Asia, teetered on the edge of authoritarian rule. Tonight, we'll dive into this extraordinary story. How it began, why it happened, and how the Korean people fought back to reclaim their freedom. Background. A political powder keg. To grasp the gravity of that night, we need to rewind to 2022. That year, South Korea held a presidential election so close it left the nation on edge. Yoon Suk-yeol, a former prosecutor with a reputation for tenacity, had never held political office. Yet, he clinched victory by a razor-thin margin, less than 1% of the vote, defeating Lee Jae-myung of the Democratic Party. From day one, his presidency was polarizing. Supporters saw him as a fresh face. Critics doubted his experience and legitimacy. Yoon's troubles deepened quickly. His conservative People Power Party couldn't secure a majority in the National Assembly, where the opposition Democratic Party held sway. Legislative gridlock ensued. Yoon's agenda, economic stimulus, labor reforms, tax cuts, stalled as Parliament descended into a shouting match of accusations and counterattacks. By 2024, South Korea faced mounting woes: a sluggish economy, rising inflation, and a public growing weary of political dysfunction. Yoon's approval rating sank to a mere 25%, and his administration seemed cornered. Desperate, Yoon pointed fingers. He accused the opposition of paralyzing the nation, and, in a shocking twist, suggested, without proof, that they were conspiring with North Korea to undermine South Korea. These inflammatory claims fueled a narrative of crisis, paving the way for his drastic move, martial law. The 6 hours of martial law. A short-lived dictatorial dream. On December 3, at 10:30 p.m., Yoon addressed the nation. Dressed in a somber suit, his voice steady but his eyes darting slightly, he declared martial law to safeguard the Korean people. The announcement unleashed pandemonium. Within an hour, 1,500 soldiers fanned out across Seoul, their rifles glinting under streetlights. 100 military vehicles, tanks, jeeps, armored transports, growled through the city, casting long shadows. 280 riot police, clad in black gear, stormed toward the National Assembly, intent on sealing it off and arresting opposition lawmakers. The public's response was electric. Social media lit up with raw emotion. One tweet read, "I'm shaking. Tanks are outside my apartment. Is this 1980 again?" Another user posted, "I can't believe I'm afraid to wake up in my own country." The reference to 1980 wasn't random. It evoked the dark memory of Chun Doo-hwan's coup, when military rule crushed dissent and claimed countless lives in Gwangju. That history fueled a primal fear. Was democracy slipping away? Yet fear didn't paralyze South Koreans. It galvanized them. In the frigid December night, protesters poured into the streets near the National Assembly. Young students in hoodies, office workers still in ties, elderly couples leaning on canes, all stood shoulder to shoulder, chanting, "Down with dictatorship. Protect our democracy." Among them was Kim Ji-yoon, a mother gripping her 6-year-old son's hand. Her voice cracked as she spoke to a journalist. "I'm terrified, not brave. But I'm here because I want my boy to know freedom isn't free. We have to fight for it." Inside the assembly, lawmakers defied the siege. Barricaded by troops, they convened an emergency session. At 1:02 a.m., they voted, 190 to 0, to repeal martial law. The message was clear. Yoon had overstepped. Military commanders, sensing the public's fury and Parliament's resolve, hesitated. By 4:30 a.m., Yoon caved, retracting the decree. By 4:49 a.m., the riot police dispersed. 6 hours after it began, the nightmare ended, not with a whimper, but with the roar of a nation reclaiming its voice. Aftermath: impeachment, arrest, and legal reckoning. The crisis didn't fade quietly. On December 7, Parliament moved to impeach Yoon, but his party's lawmakers boycotted the vote, stalling the effort. The public wouldn't relent. Protests swelled, and fissures emerged within Yoon's own ranks. On December 14, Parliament tried again, this time succeeding with 204 votes. Yoon was suspended, and Seoul streets filled with jubilant crowds, hundreds of thousands waving flags and singing victory songs. The drama peaked on January 15, 2025. Anti-corruption agents, after clashing with Yoon's die-hard supporters outside the presidential office, arrested him, the first sitting South Korean president to face such a fate. Charged with rebellion and abuse of power, Yoon's fall was seismic. His backers cried foul, chanting "Release our leader," while detractors demanded accountability. On January 26, he was indicted, though released on March 7 due to insufficient evidence. Now, the Constitutional Court holds his fate. If it upholds the impeachment, prison looms. Public and international reactions: anger, condemnation, and relief. South Koreans didn't just watch, they acted. Over 1 million took to the streets, their outrage palpable. 510 psychiatrists issued a statement on the crisis's psychological toll, especially on youth. 3,000 filmmakers, including Bong Joon-ho of Parasite fame, penned an open letter condemning Yoon and calling for a re-release of 12.12. The Day, a film about the 1980 coup, to rekindle national resolve. Globally, the reaction was swift. The US expressed deep concern, NATO warned North Korea against meddling, and the UN sighed in relief as democracy held. The New York Times dubbed it a dictatorial misadventure, while The Guardian hailed South Koreans as democracy's staunchest defenders. Analysis: democracy's resilience and hidden risks. Why did Yoon's gamble collapse so fast? Unlike Chun's 1979 coup, which ushered in years of tyranny, Yoon's bid lasted mere hours. South Korea's democratic institutions, parliament, courts, and a vigilant populace, proved robust. Yet the crisis revealed a vulnerability. The presidency wields outsized power with few checks. Experts, like one in foreign affairs, argue for reform. South Korea must limit executive authority to prevent this again. Digital activism also played a starring role. Real-time outrage on social media outpaced Yoon's plans. Still, as lawyer Lee Kwang-bum cautioned, the shadow of autocracy lingers. Cultural echoes. A nation remembers. The crisis struck a cultural chord. Theaters rescreened 12.12. The Day, drawing packed houses. A college student leaving the film said, "I thought democracy was guaranteed. Now I know it's a battle." Past and present fused, reminding South Koreans that liberty is forged, not gifted. Future outlook. Yoon's fate and beyond. Yoon's political career teeters. A court ruling against him could jail him and trigger a new election, likely boosting opposition leader Lee Jae-myung. Economically, the won faltered and markets jittered, but South Korea's democratic grit may bolster its global image. Bigger questions loom. How to fortify democracy? How to heal a divided nation? These debates will define the road ahead. Closing. A call to reflect. When tyranny whispered in the night, South Koreans answered with defiance. They braved the cold, raised their voices, and held fast to their freedom. So I leave you with this: if democracy called your name, would you stand for it? Thank you for listening. Good night.